Hey everyone, welcome to Sunny Commutes, a podcast where I combine the worlds of web development and business and share my experiences. This is podcast episode 67, where I'll be talking about SEO, search engine optimization, but not just the basics. We're going to go a little bit beyond. And the interesting part about this episode, like what we had a couple of episodes ago, so I have a guest on this show today. So I want to welcome Leon Hitchens. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, Sunny, how you doing? Hey, everybody.
Hey, I'm good, man. So we're going to talk about SEO, but first, I want to give kind of a little quick intro, and I'll let Leon introduce him in a little bit. But kind of similar to Kyle, who I had as my first guest. So Leon's my second guest, and kind of in relation to that, we both met online over 10 years ago, and so it's a really interesting story, I think. But yeah, so we've been like building businesses online. We met in person at conferences and whatnot. But yeah, Leon, do you want to give a little bit of an intro, what you do, and stuff like that?
Yes, so I'm a digital marketer essentially. I work mainly with search engine optimization, pay per click on Facebook and Google, and then I do a little bit of like just general marketing outside of that, where I work with small to medium businesses at an agency. I help them kind of figure out what they need to do, set their strategies, and kind of scale their businesses. I've worked with a few startups in San Antonio where I'm based, and that's kind of my experience so far. And then, of course, with Sunny, I have the experience with Iron Mike and the other businesses that we've kind of endeavored on.
Yeah, so IronMake's like the podcast software as a service that we run. And, Kyle and I are both developers, so we're able to kind of talk more about the coding and stuff. But with Leon, which I think, a bit coding, right? I think, I know you had a little bit of background behind it, right?
I know the basics, HTML, CSS to get me through. I mainly work
Yeah,
with WordPress. So the
which kind
basics,
of
not
gets you
not as
into
skilled as you
knowing a little bit
guys.
about it.
Yes.
But that's I think the good part about this episode. So kind of what I want to get into is Leon's more on the marketing and business side. So I know a little bit of SEO, and a lot of developers you tend to have to know just a little bit the basics of it, but you don't really go kind of beyond the basics into really kind of like the backlinks and stuff. And we'll get into all of that. So I think it's going to be an interesting episode. So first we're going to talk about or define what is SEO. So it stands for search engine optimization. And from my perspective, it's really just the way that you ensure your pages can be viewed in Google when people just search for keywords that are relevant, or just your company name. Um, is there anything else that when you think about SEO, that you think should be?
So at the very basics, yes, it's your pages are being crawled by Google, but something interesting that I don't think a lot of people understand is that SEO, in fact, search engine optimizations, one of the leading sources of like traffic for most businesses. So
Yeah.
if you have a really strong search engine optimization, you're on the first of Google, you're gonna get a lot of traffic from that.
So is that something that you see just from personal experience with the companies you work with?
Yes, so I see almost every single company kind of start with some sort of advertising model where they're paying for their traffic from Google or otherwise, but after a while, the search engine optimization really cannibalizes any of the ad traffic. And I
Right.
think if you're a small creator or developer and you really put like the work into a little SEO, you could have a ton of traffic.
Yeah, I think it's a good like just marketing channel to dive into. So as a developer, really, so going kind of starting off with the basics first. So when I start off and think about SEO and just implementing it on a website or project that I'm working on, I really just think about like having page titles on every page, having those be kind of descriptive enough, having descriptions, and then there's other meta tags that you can add at the head of your page that just tells search engines it's nothing visible, but it's just for search engines to say, here's some data about my page, to also like other websites like Twitter and Facebook and other social media. And really just like the way that I've gone about it is just having semantic enough markup, having the pages just be descriptive enough, and then making sure like if you're building these modern web apps, which tend to not have great SEO because the markup's not available to search engines. And I've talked about this on a previous episode, stuff like server-side rendering or pre-rendering those apps to make sure that that data is available there. But going beyond the basics, unless Leon, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, just building on like the meta tags and meta descriptions. Um, so like important to do like the research on that and make sure you like get the optimal link. I think a lot of people
Hmm.
kind of just go and they typed in like the name of their business and just something short after that.
Right, because there's actually like maximum lengths to titles and descriptions, right?
Yes, I believe it is about 160 characters on the meta title. But
Hmm.
there's some cool things. You can squeeze emojis in there. You can squeeze characters that are abnormal in there. I think if you get kind of creative with your meta title and it's different than everybody else on Google, that's going to be a good thing in the end.
That's interesting. So do you know if like emojis, if you put that in the title, is that just for like users, or do search engines actually look at that?
Um, so search engines per se aren't looking at that, but one of the biggest metrics for, getting your search result on the top of Google is the click-through rate, and then also just
Hmm.
how many people are kind of interacting with your SERP. So
Right. So I guess it's when they see like a title that they find not attractive is not the right word, but
abnormal,
appealing to like click
yeah,
to. Yeah. Right.
it's
They'll
unusual.
want to click through it. Right. Yeah. So that's going to help you actually just get people to your actual website, right?
So that's important. You can squeeze a lot into that meta description too.
Hmm.
That is like the most important part of what you kind of need to focus on. Um, but beyond just the basics of the um, the meta titles and the semantic markup, is also including like those OG tags, the Open Graph tags from Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Um,
think it's not even Facebook that only uses them; it's other sites too, right?
I believe LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook all kind of reference them.
Hmm.
So it's super important there because Google is actually using the Firehose from Twitter to look for if you're getting shares and everything, and that's part of your ranking metric now. So
Okay, so ranking is actually a good segue into talking about like why you would want to care about SEO. Because just again, from personal experience, just getting so if someone let's say searches for Iron Mike, I feel like there's not a lot of work that they need to put into just simply getting the first result ranking, just for your company name, and just for like previous projects as well. But going beyond that, I feel like there is a lot to it with some of the things that we'll talk about for this beyond the basic section. So I guess like why would you want to care beyond just someone searching for your company name just appearing at the top?
so one part of that is the traffic portion of it. The more traffic, the more opportunity for customers and eyeballs. But the beyond part of it is a lot of what Google's looking at is actually part of user experience.
Mm-hmm.
So Google has Google Chrome really has the Lighthouse score. You're able to go in there, look at your performance, your accessibility, and some other metrics in there that are super important. But one of the top parts of having a good site on Google is making sure it's super duper fast. They're going to rank a site that loads in like 1 2 seconds higher than a site that ranks or loads in 6 or 7 seconds. So that's also something that goes back to like the users. If you have a fast website, more users are more likely to actually engage with your website.
Yeah. So really, I mean, SEO, if you provide a good experience just for your normal users, that immediately you're going to get like a second benefit of just ranking higher in search results, right?
Yes, so you're benefiting the user, the user that's probably on a phone more than likely in the end,
Yeah.
or somebody that with some slow broadband. You're going to make sure that they
Yeah,
can
no,
use it.
like responsive is even a factor, and then like other things like accessibility and stuff too.
Yes, there's a lot of like font sizes being mobile friendly. Most of what Google does
Yeah.
now is mobile first.
Hmm.
So they want to make sure you're focusing on the mobile version of your app or your website, not just the desktop version.
right? Because they see like most users now searching Google on mobile.
Yes. And then kind of going beyond that, there's some other stuff like backlinks. I think
Yeah, so this one is really tricky for me because, like, I mean, essentially what backlinks are just, third, like other sites linking back to your site, right? And that essentially gives you like more SEO juice, which essentially like the more sites that link to you that also have a high ranking boost your own ranking. It's something I'm confused a lot about, so I don't know if you can better explain that.
yeah, so for example, my website links back to your Sunny Commutes .fm. That's a backlink
Hmm.
right there. And let's say my website has a really good search score. Google kind of assigns a number to it. There's no way to check it, but you can know like, hey, I have all these first page results, so I have a really good score. If I link back to you, I'm giving you my link juice. I'm saying that I endorse one your site, but I also endorse you. It's kind of like a referral system for Google.
Okay, like a shout out with some value to it.
Yes, so
Uh,
the more backlinks you have, the more likely you are to rank on Google. This is a little disputed, but overall the basis of it is pretty good. They have to be good quality links, not just something that you go out and buy.
I know that. So yeah, so buying the backlinks, I know is something that's a lot of people used to do, and they probably still do, and it's looked down upon. Google even potentially penalizes you for it if they detect that you're doing that. So how do you just go about finding backlinks? Is it just reaching out to like bloggers and stuff, or like for
So
Iron Mike, for example, have you done any backlink like research for that?
yeah, so some of it's doing press, going to like these outlets, getting people to write about your service, getting those links back to your site. Another part of
Hmm.
that is guest blogging. If you go out and like guest blog with people, they're going to put your link back to your website. That's super easy for you to do. Um,
Okay, yeah.
and the other way is to buy them where you go and tell like Fortune or Forbes or somebody that, hey, can I buy a few links into your from your website? And one of the writers will always sell you backlinks. And that's one of the more unethical ways to do it, but it is a very effective way to do it.
Yeah, I've had some people email me and they said like, and some of it's automated, some of it's not. It's hard to tell, but they all they really do is like, hey, oh, I found this page on your website. It looks relevant to this website that I have. Do you mind like adding a link to it? And one of them was like just my project pages or something, where I was like listing the technologies for it. And I'm like, this is obviously not something that I would do on that page. So there's no reason for me to backlink, you know. So some of those requests are kind of funny. I feel like,
Yeah, it's an automated system that actually does it. It's sometimes effective,
yeah,
but I think it's a little I view it as a kind of like a car salesman type of deal.
yeah, that's the vibe I get from it. And then SEO. I guess we already kind of talked about SEO juice, but is there more like an official term for it? I feel like it's kind of, I don't know if there's like a better way to describe what it
So
does.
there's this Moz score. It's Moz, which is kind of the industry leader in search. Um,
Okay,
they can assign a Moz score to your domain. It's not affiliated with Google and it's not really representative from Google, but it is a good representation of what your website score probably is. That's one way to check like what your score is. So if you do everything right and you have a bunch of backlinks, your score probably sits somewhere around like a 50 or 60. And if you don't do anything, you're probably at like a 19 or something.
okay. So it's pretty close to the Google search algorithm.
It's the best representation out in the market. It's there's no clear way to say that that's the best, but it is like the best
Right.
representation. They do the most research.
Right, because I guess Google doesn't really say. I mean, they give recommendations, but that's about it. They don't have an official score or anything.
Yes. Um, One thing, if you do want to see,
And then what are yeah,
so sorry, one thing is the Google Search Console. That's the best tool that if anybody has a website, they should go sign up for a Google Search Console, and then they can see all the traffic from search, what keywords they're listed for, how many people are going to their website from search. That's the best way to kind of check what's going on with the health of your site on search.
yeah. I know I don't really use console that much. I probably should, but I know in Google Analytics I can see what search keywords people are coming through to my site with? Is that pretty similar to that, or just like more powerful with Search
Pretty
Console?
similar. Search Console can be linked with analytics. That's what probably you have. Um, but
Okay.
Search Console does get some more a better interface to kind of check what you're doing on search, especially if you just want to focus on blogging or search.
Okay, that's cool. And then I know for Iron Mike, something that we both did for it is, well, I guess you specifically did. So you bought AdWords for it, so that when people search for Iron Mike or specific keywords, we'd be listed on top of like other competing sites.
Yes.
So is that something that's I feel like that's like a pretty smart thing to do, especially if you're an early site and you're not listed first, even just for your company name.
Yeah, so if you're starting out and you don't have really strong SEO, one thing that you can do, especially if you have a little bit of money, is go and create an Google Ads account or AdWords account and just start buying those domain or those keywords for your domain. It might not help you really on the SEO side, but it is effective in making sure people see your site while you're trying to work on your SEO. It's kind of a stopgap for the
Hmm.
time being.
Yeah, I think it's like really clever. And it doesn't really take that much money to start off with, right?
No, so for Iron Mike, most of the keywords that we bid on were other kind of podcasting websites that were WordPress based or other systems that you had to do manual. And for the most part, we're spending like 30 cents a click. So it was not very expensive at all.
Okay, yeah, yeah, it's not bad at all. Um, so anything else you think will kind of go into the beyond section of learning about SEO?
Yes, so like Search Console, the other thing I recommend if you have a business kind of like Iron Mike, um, is claim your Google My Business account, just like I did on Iron Mike. It's on the right hand corner or right hand side. It's called the Knowledge Panel, and that allows you to like list
Oh,
information
okay.
where you are, show your logo, have reviews and everything. And I think that's very effective for when somebody Googles your name.
Yeah, I was actually wondering about that because in another group chat, somebody actually found out about this. They searched for Iron Mike, and I just did it right now. So on the right side, like there's our logo, even the location, a link to the website, and then like even the hours that you're open.
Yes.
So you can say like 9 to 5, weekdays or something like that. Have a support phone number. So this is really cool. So this is for the what was it? The link your
It's
business,
Google My Business.
Google My Business. Okay, sweet. Yeah, so this is something that I didn't really know. And I feel like a lot of developers, especially, but anyone that's just kind of building products online, and they're focused on one small aspect of it. SEO is definitely like a big part of actually getting traffic to your site because if you're building a product or a service or something, if you're not getting any users to it, if you're not getting people, even just a blog, if you're not getting people actually reading it, then it's kind of like what's the point? Does it really exist?
Yes.
So implementing, a lot of these practices, I think, is really important.
I couldn't agree anymore.
Yeah. So I guess a quick overview. So I kind of mentioned we talked about what SEO is, and it's just having your page rank highly in Google and other search engine results. Some basics having metadata such as the OG tags for Facebook. Twitter has some specific ones as well, having appropriate titles, descriptions with specific links, and optimizing those. And then looking at your Google Lighthouse score, getting backlinks back to your site by reaching out to people, and then paying for AdWords and using Search Console and all these other tools that Leon has mentioned. And I think that's pretty much it. Do you want to add anything else about
No,
SEO?
I think you recapped it really well.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, so like I said, Leon and I go way back, and also one thing I forgot to mention, we actually used to have a podcast before I was doing this podcast. So Leon ran. Maybe you can probably talk about this a little bit, but he ran like a tech blog, and he used to do a podcast with it. So I was actually like a co-host, a guest on it a lot. Um, but you've actually shut it down quite recently, right?
Yes, so Digital Bounds was kind of like my side project. It was all about technology blogging. A lot of like the core of SEO I picked up from doing that. And Sunny, contributed a ton. That's how we would go to the conferences and meet up. And over the time, I've kind of shut it down more recently as I've focused more on the agency, doing Iron Mike and kind of
Hmm.
focusing on my personal brand.
Yeah, definitely have a lot of nostalgia from that. Also, having contributed to it a little bit, so yeah, it's just really a stepping stone. I feel like for what's next to come, and hopefully Iron Mike is that next thing. So yeah, Leon, thanks a lot for joining. Hopefully, we get Kyle, all three of us, on a podcast in the future. I think that'd be really cool, and then maybe we can share that story of how we met and the sort of stuff that we've been doing. So yeah, Leon, do you want to shout anything out?
No, just
Your socials and
yeah,
whatnot?
I can do that. IronMike.fm, of course, but also LeonHitchens.com, and then I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm all at Leon Hitchens, and I think you'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah. You got your own podcast too,
Yes,
right?
I've been a little dormant on that, but that is leonspodcast.com.
And I love that name. So yeah, love what Leon puts out. I hope he does it more. And yeah, so thanks everyone for listening. You can find everything for the Sunny Commutes podcast on the website, sunnycommutes.fm. The show notes, I'll have all of Leon's stuff and the stuff that we talked about on this episode in the show notes. All the links, all the socials, and everything for myself and the podcast. And that's it. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.